Lines for bread and gas, no water, no electricity. This is the new reality in Syria's largest city, Aleppo, home to more than 2 million people. There is no bread. Everyone comes, all the guys from the area. They have no working bakery, so they come here. It's crowded. We sat here for 2 hours, waiting in line. On top of that, airstrikes. The Russians, who support the Assad regime, are bombing everything they can. They treat the lines of civilians as rebel groups. The effects are nightmarish.
We are verifying numbers. I can tell you that I've seen some of the data which is coming out, and it suggests that there are certainly dozens upon dozens have been killed.
There will certainly be more casualties. The assault on another major city, Hama, is now underway. Later Homs, and then the capital, Damascus. This revolution, why did it happen? It happened for justice, for freedom, for democracy. It happened so that the Syrian people could choose their political leadership through free and fair elections, and so that this leadership would be held accountable. In practice, this revolution is the aftermath of frictions between greater powers. It's hard to say that it was provoked, but the fact is, there's a geopolitical chess game going on right now. The Americans are carrying out airstrikes against Iranian militias trying to support Assad. The Turks are seizing the moment to attack the Kurds, and finally, the Russians are trying to support the Assad regime by weakening American influence. In the middle of all this is Iran, which has found itself in a very difficult position. We should not allow terrorists and conspirators to start another war and bloodshed in the region. We must try to do so through diplomacy and coordination with neighboring countries. This is an appeal to Turkey, which is actively supporting one of the rebel factions. The fall of the Assad regime will cut off Iran from Hezbollah and Lebanon. However, Turkey is playing its own game. Erdogan is already playing the role of father to the entire Middle East. We have been saying for a long time that the spiral of violence in the Middle East could also affect Syria. Recent events have confirmed that Turkey was right. Russia is trying to prop up Assad because it needs Iran for arms supplies, but so far, it has been completely unsuccessful. In addition to chaotic airstrikes, Russian forces have been forced to retreat to their naval base on the Syrian coast, their only foreign naval base. One man currently holds the Russian Federation by its throat, Erdogan, the Turkish president. Without Turkish permission to cross the straits, and without Turkish permission to fly over Turkish territory, the Russians can do absolutely nothing. So the question is whether the Turkish plan for this Russian contingent in Syria is to boil the frog. Russia is facing a major dilemma: leave Assad and thus Iran, or redeploy some units from Ukraine. This is well known to the Americans, who are adding fuel to the fire by attacking pro-Iranian militias.
I think Russia will try hard, and the question will be, how much are they willing to do, considering they have Ukraine to be concerned about, and of course they're now, concerned about Georgia.
The war in Ukraine, political turmoil in Georgia, trouble in the mountainous Karabakh, civil wars in Africa, and finally the offensive in Syria. Having meddled in various regions of the world over the past 3 or 4 decades, there are now fronts opening up for the Kremlin that they seem to have completely forgotten about.